Alright, let's go. Take like 3 or 4 because of the number of interruptions I've had. I've finished yet another sketchbook. This, like those ones down there, I've shown off before. I figured I might as well do this one again. You'll see a lot of unfinished sketches, but not quite to this quality throughout the book. That's skipping a page. You'll also see that I have an obsession with dragons, so I've mixed it with people a couple of times, although you'll only see them here in the beginning of the book. This one was supposed to be more galaxy-like. We have my elf ninja, my other dragon character. This was supposed to be Warframe Sevagoth. I would pull up an image of that in post-production if I were capable of post-production. Even I cannot tell you what it's meant to be now if I weren't the artist. Some people have told me it looks like an SCP. There's also this. I really like this one. I think it turned out really well. This is just another angle of what the lower half of the body looks like. This is one of my friend's characters, a raptor, that I had done. I have one of my own here later on in the book, but there isn't much to it. The design wasn't made by me, so credit goes where it's due. I don't know the socials, for the most part, of my friend, aside from their Discord, so I can't exactly credit them for the design. The problem with this sword here is where its edge is aligned, so you would have to hold it like this. I feel like that would get in the way if you wanted to reverse the grip and bonk them with the back edge. I have no idea what this would be good for cutting, or I doubt it would be good in general, even reverse gripped. This was supposed to be like a fan. Here, I need to get a drink. I'll pause the video real quick. A fan like China, Japan's fans. This is a dragon scale lance. That would be heavy as heck and not at all balanced. So I imagine instead of just holding it, you would be holding it with the angled like this so that you can use your elbow as support for the weight. Here we have armor made from monster remains. As you'll see, we've got the scales. We've got fur, which is probably also where the leather came from here. Then we have the spikes. I don't know where this came from. I believe this was Dauntless inspired, so that would be like a Gnasher tail, which would mean it would go with the fur, because Gnasher is beaver. Except it's got hard leather tail instead of these sharp things. Here's another one of that character. I did used to have like golden things here, I believe, which I think was pretty, but I haven't done once in this sketchbook. This is me testing out colors. You'll see that a lot on some pages if I can remember to keep them in shot. This is madness. Welcome to hell. This is my my raptor. It doesn't much look like one as it does a sock puppet, but still. Here we have a scimitar. So, just basic, generic. Although, thinking about it, I can see that I gave it some depth here, so you could probably give these a little bit of an edge. Not a sharp edge, but a little bit of an edge, and a, like, dent inward to have weight reduction while retaining protection. And then I guess the cloth came down here. Can't remember if it was me or a cousin who had drawn this, but I would probably thin this out and expand it a little. Make this wider and a little thinner, and then make that longer, if it were me nowadays. Here's one of my favorites. I gave it this little 3D clip so that you could clip it on or tie it to a rope. Then we have this trigger for a better grip. I don't want to imagine what that would do to someone's thumb. And then we have it curve like this in order to, like, when you swing it, there's going to be more weight up here. So it's better for, like, hacking trees or thick vines. It wouldn't work for a tree. It's too small for a knife, being a knife. Here's a sword. It's dysfunctional because of this right here. So if you're not gripping it like this, or you're going to be hurting yourself. Although you could probably grip it like this and then swing outward. This is the associating shield that I really, really like. I just like this one overall. The color scheme's pretty. This page is madness. I will slowly pan over it as I get another drink. Sip of my drink. You'll basically notice a couple references to things I've grown up with throughout this. And some of my feelings at the time. And this is a sign of what's to come. Keep an eye out for that. I've always struggled attaching dragon wings. Although, I think I started with this one and then gave up because I can do a little better. And I feel like this horn should be attached to the eyebrow ridge. I need to, like, cut off some of that light. This is a dragon swimming in the ocean with an island. This was supposed to be something. It would have been inspired by Koshai from Dauntless. I just can't. It would have also been a little more unique because I would have redesigned it. Basically, my personal redesign of Koshai from Dauntless is what it would have been. It would have been more feathery and it'll have some more scales on it, basically, with recolors. But I just couldn't figure out how to attach this anywhere, nor get a decent looking snout without it looking like it's deformed. This is another wasted page. This is what I used to do to help guide me, which I really should do again. But it basically gave me an idea of, like, which parts are closer versus which parts are farther. And, I really need to raise this up if that's supposed to be the hip line, which is right about where it should be. Which is probably why I gave up on that one. But, hey, it is what it is. Here's another one that screams madness to me. You can see on the next page, this is just a sign of what's to come. Although, I'd like to have kept some of this on that sketch, on this sketch, up in here, make it a little less messed up. But this is basically one of my best pieces I feel like I've done personally. I just wish I have no idea where I was going with that thought. I have no idea where that thought was going. I know it's one of the few I've used a reference with. And that's basically all I can say for it. These are faces. I wish I could have done a little better with this. What I probably needed to do was drag it out like this and then give it a slight up. And then have this a little thicker going up. We could keep this line to represent, like, whatever those main veins or arteries in your neck are. I feel like I could have done a little better, like moving the eyes down and with the hairline right there. My cat busting down my door terrified me. What do you want, Siren? Come on. This is what I mean by repeated interruptions. Yeah, my cat can open my door, and he sits down there, biting my ankles. because I'm not petting him 24/7. Here is a dragon. You can see some of the like chest spines and the neck that would have gone into the head. I think I made the snout like way too long because I can see some spikes here. And then I have the eye right here, which is way too high. And then we have the rest of the neck. I think I'm giving up on actually retrying to the number of interruptions I've had. I'm just going to finish this video. It's not like I'm some big guy or anything, so it doesn't much matter. It's just a personal archive for me to reflect on in the future. This is yet another dragon. You can see the scales, but they're faint. The problem is when I outline them in pen, it makes it darker, so I have to make colors that go well in the dark with it. But here is this one. Here is a sword. I don't want to imagine how much this two-pronged thing would hurt with a thrust. But overall, it's just the average sword. Here you can see I had made an elf. I really didn't like. The neck was messed up, too small. And then the head shape was fine, but the eyes, not so much. They were too far apart and they weren't quite level. The nose and the mouth also looked weird, and combine that with the like hairline I had, it just overall looked weird and I didn't like it. So I just went for eye practice instead to look for new eyes, which this is just a sign of what's to come too. This is probably my favorite piece I've done in this sketchbook. I gave it an attempt at shading, so I used like your normal number 2 pencil and just shaded as best I could. You can see there are some points where the stuff is layered on too heavily, so they gloss. But overall, I really like this character's design. This is a helmet supposed to be designed after those like stereotypical winged or webbed helmets you see. This dragon. Here's a knife. Elf, leaf, woods. That was the idea. That's basically all there is to it. We also have the spear and the bow. This is hand practice, which for at least one of them, I think I did pretty good. Then we have a fist. The thumb could use improvement. We have that. We have that. That is not the same hand. We have that. And then we have that. Stare into the void and it shall stare back at you. This is what I was meaning earlier when I zoomed down here on the madness page. This is what the true madness is. Let me turn the light down a little so it can show up better. Let me turn it back up. Here's a person. I was struggling with the feet and the hands, but I actually gave it a shot to do a hand this time instead of my typical amputee. And I actually gave him feet instead of cutting it off the page, which it looks weird, but it's practice. This is just 2-point perspective, house on a street. There are a couple things I could have done to improve, because this door looks like it is not level. This is more connected to me personally. I'm a diabetic. This is what insulin pumps look like currently. We'll excuse the no signal for now. That is, you saw mine had this. This is insulin, the stuff that keeps our blood sugar low. We now have shelf-stable glucagon, which means we could have this second one, which would mean a larger, more capable of being affected wound, but it means it could also act to prevent lows. The idea was that it would prevent this, which is what you don't want to see, is where you put carbs in and suddenly you're going low. so you overcorrect in your high. So you put cards in your low, and overcorrect and undercorrect. The idea is that it would balance that out a little more. Your typical diabetic wants to be non-diabetic one, and diabetics want to be between 100 and 70, so you can tell this person didn't spend too long in a healthy range. Madness. This is just another knife. I think that's supposed to be a throwing knife. Here we have a couple different things. I think this was all without reference because I was at lunch that day. I remember drawing this one in history class. This is a Loxodon from D&D because a friend thought I would be interested in it and he had me draw it because he liked my art. And I wasn't going to say no, so I gave it a solid shot. Suffice it to say, I haven't played D&D more than once, and that was that one incident. But it still wasn't bad practice for things. Here's a sword I really like. Just the great fiery blade. I really like it. This was supposed to be the kitsune that it was for, but instead it looks like a... I don't know how quite to describe the level of discrepancy, deformation that looks like. I would want the ears to be much thicker at minimum to not look so weird. Here's a dragon where I tried making it like a mesh, a patch instead of for the scales instead of normal scales. Here's a really long, thin sword. This is a map. This would have been like a desert continent. So you have your major town around the big oasis. You have the backwater boonies around the small oasis. You have a normal town, and then you have a seaport town. And then you have a couple smaller islands. Over here, it was supposed to be mountains. Like, this is where they start shrinking and splitting off. And this was just mostly a mountain island. This is a friend's drawing, so credit is due where it is due. Yeah. This is that same character we saw earlier in the book. I've decided to redraw her, is evident. Here is a dragon that I liked. I don't know if it would be a dragon, a drake, or a wyvern because I haven't given it legs or wings. You can see I tried to like fade the scales in because I'm not sure how to get it on the snout without it looking too super weird. Here is a person's face. I pointed move down, but where the curve is, because I like this side more than this side. He's also got a giraffe neck. I'll slowly move over this while I describe it. It has a sharp point, normal sledge head, and then an extra piece. So the idea was, and a counterweight. The idea was basically that armor piercing for like heavy armor. A sharp point and a sledge to give it the weight. We would have a curve on the handle. I was experimenting for maximum centrifugal, or whatever kind of force it is. And then that would also hold this out so that the moment it slammed, that would stop being pulled out by the centrifugal force. And instead, it would slam, giving it a second load per hit. Those are improvement ideas, but that was the overall idea. Dwagon. I really didn't. Like I said earlier, I don't do well attaching wings. They all look very stiff. This was supposed to be the Minecraft's warden. I was going to have it looming over, but I wasn't sure how to attach the arms or the legs or the head and keep this cavity that goes up into the mouth and have it all look nice. So I kind of just drew aspects and gave up. This page is, again, more practice. Basically, we can curve inward, we can go straight, we can curve outward, we can curve out sharp, we can curve out soft. We can curve in by curving out, we can go straight in, or we can curve in by curving in. And then basically the same thing for the point, and it could have been all over. This is a guy in some armor, like metal plates. I wish I had this kind of armor, just because I think it would be fun to have. At first glance, it's a sword, but then you take a look. Oh, it's a bird talon. It's also a snake. This is something weird but interesting in my opinion. Here's another attempt at people. You can see I gave hands a shot. You'll see what this was for later. Keep in mind that this is a light purple, because I would like to know if this light purple versus what you'll see later looks better in public opinion. This is supposed to be Terraria's True Knight's Edge, or Knight's Edge. It's not very good. There's a lot of improvements I would do. I would probably make it less thick and lengthen it out a little, make the handle a little bigger, make these claws go out a little further, but also be more attached. I would just basically rebalance the whole thing. Now, this is why I said to keep track of that last page, because I like this light violet color, but I also like the gray, and I was wondering what public people's opinions on it is. This was me attempting gradients too. There's that character again, but this time I gave a lot more scales to her. I forgot that I want eyebrows red now. This is setting me off versus the hair. This ears, horn, eye. I like to do larger versions of the eye because they're hard to put on the face in that detail for me. I also made this darker versus this lighter area to give the illusion of depth, or give it a shot at least. Now, this is basically eye shapes, because we could have it just curve on the top, curve, curve. We could have it just curve down, curve down. We could have it curve up, curve down, curve up. We could have it curve up, curve down, and then curve down with a little more of a point. We could have it curve up, curve up. We could have it be more box-like. We can have it curve down, curve up. We could have it rounder. We can have it sharper. We can have it narrow. And then we can have narrow box. Now here was me practicing like the way I draw the eyelashes. This is my personal favorite, both with the color blending scheme I chose and shape. I really like this one's colors, but these are just different eyebrows with elements added, like draconic feather, ice, fire, etc. That's probably the only one I didn't. Jellyfish is what it was inspired by. And this is the, actual pupil shapes. There are a couple I could have done better with. Here's another thing, I guess. You can comment whether, which combination do you think is would be your favorite when put together. This is one of my wyverns from Ark that had got murdered while I was offline that I really, really liked. It was named Midnight Champion. It was really powerful. It was a really rare color scheme, because you don't find not glowing black ember crystal wyverns, ever. And then it got murdered while I was offline. I should just keep the book rotated. This is a raptor. That's basically what it is, a raptor. But it's pink. Okay, here's the fun. I had drawn this aspect of the hilt and handguard, and then with a friend, he finished this for me. And I did the same in his sketchbook with something, except he made the blade and I had to make the handle. And then we reversed it. I made the blade up here, this gem, and some of that symbol. And then he made the handle. And I can't help but notice Jevel's tail every time I see this. Or how that's like a clown face. We also challenged each other to draw sands. We don't question what's going on here. We just know that that's happening. This is a free draw I've done recently. I need to start putting dates on them. This is one of my favorites I've done. It's basically like this gray is fur, but then we have these like scaled spikes. And we have a scaled underbelly. And I imagine these wouldn't be fur either. And then we have these, which are supposed to be like sharp points. This was an idea of what I would like to see in art. You can see it's in a cave. I just didn't finish drawing the cave because I don't think that the actual animal itself would be too visible. Oh, sorry if anatomical hearts bother y'all. Skip like a minute ahead or until the video shows that it's no longer on screen, because I don't know when that'll be done. I can't do post-production. Just anatomical hearts. It was practice for school, and then I saw how I was doing the veins here, and they looked like vines out here in a mirror or a portal. But I gave it 2 different shots, slightly different in each. And then this is the last page of the book. My madness always persists. This knife's blade is too big for it. I was trying to draw a dragon. I basically gave up because I don't do forward facing. This was supposed to be a griffin head. That was supposed to be a fox. I was giving it a serious attempt, and this would have gone into the snout, but then I didn't. And that's the end. Let me know what you think. Which one's your favorite? Comment your favorite combination on those eyes. Do you think that the very slight lavender versus the gray, which would be better for that character's dress? If you have any advice for fixing things up in the future when I wind up doing more drawing, let me know. Anyway, that'll be it.